Well, once again, thank you so much. I'm Larry Mack here with Al Pitrelli from Trans-Siberian Orchestra. This is becoming an annual thing for us to talk about the big tour that's about to happen and the fact that you're going to be in Phoenix at the Footprint Center on Sunday, December 4th, as usual, two shows, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And hey, how have you been over the past year?
I've been good, all things considered, nothing to complain about. And I hope everybody by you is okay as well. It's good to see you. It's good to hear your voice. Listen, it's that time of year, I'm looking out my kitchen doors here and all the leaves are falling, they turn colors.
Oh,
It's
they
time.
do that. They do that where you live.
Yes, not where
Yeah.
you live. Where I live, up here in the mountains in Pennsylvania, hence the attire right now. I'm freezing.
It's about I woke up to 62 degrees this morning, so it's that's
Good.
yeah, I know.
Soon enough. There was nothing more fun than getting off the bus in the parking lot of the venue and going, oh, there's the sun. Miss you.
So what's happening this year with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, your show? I know you like to change it up every single year. What's happening this year with the show?
Well, this year we're going to do Paul O'Neill's story, The Ghosts of Christmas Eve. Now that's we filmed that movie back in, I think, late 98 or 99.
Mm-hmm.
And it became a huge success on TV. So many people started viewing that, or I should say, kind of embrace that as now that's part of their holiday tradition. Like when I was a kid, it was Rudolph, or It's a Wonderful Life, or Miracle on 34th Street. All those movies that were on TV when I was little. Like I would hear Burl Ives' voice start the narration of the Rudolph thing, and all of a sudden I'm like, I felt good. My feety pajamas, I'm all cozy. It's Christmas time. Get excited on couch. That's what The Ghost of Christmas Eve has become to so many families.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy when you think about it. So we're going to present it live this year. We haven't done it in quite a while. It has songs from the first two records, which everybody in the audience really enjoys. The selection of music, and like you had said earlier, dude, we always try to change it up. So the front of the show is going to be completely different. The back half of the show, we're going to do songs we've never performed live before. And of course, like you and I have spoken over the years, the crew has put together some incredible stuff that will even be bigger and crazier than it's been in years past. So I'm kind of stoked to get out there and do it.
So when you guys put these, shows together, one thing I've always been super impressed, besides the music, is it's like a Broadway, like high-end Broadway musical.
Yeah.
The set changes, the everything, the lighting. It's kind of like I was trying to describe it to somebody. Go, it's heavy metal, hard rock Christmas music mixed with classical. And then the stage show is everything from Broadway to Pink Floyd.
Nailed it. You said it. I could have said it, And yes, exactly all that, because at the center of the concert is this beautifully written story.
Mm-hmm.
With the narration, the poetry. And when the singers come out to present the songs, they actually become the characters in Paul's story.
Mm-hmm.
It is very theatrical. Listen, I got a pretty good background in theater, or rock and roll theater, being Alice Cooper's musical director for a while, years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So when Alice would come out and put the straitjacket on, he was no longer Alice. Trust me. He became Dwight Fry in The Ballad of Dwight Fry.
Yes.
So I watched that in the late '80s, going, this is awesome. And basically, what we're doing is taking this entire film, putting it on the stage, and the singers become the characters. The instrumentalists are telling stories through our notes. The folks in the audience are very familiar with the story, and they kind of, they take it to heart and they relate to it. At the end of the day, what I've been telling people lately, they've asked me, why do people love the story so much? Because everybody misses somebody when you think about it,
Yes.
Especially around, from Thanksgiving to New Year's, families are getting together, friends are coming over, you're having dinner, whatever. And there's always an empty chair at the dining room table.
Yes.
And in Paul's story, it kind of explains it. Now, Paul's story has a happy ending, for a lot of us, maybe the ending wasn't so happy, but you have this emotion of missing someone, or longing to hold somebody's hand or get, be hugged by them. Maybe you can't because they left this world. Maybe just life kicked in. You haven't spoken to somebody in 30, 40 years, whatever it is. But you're not alone in that feeling. That's what Paul's story lets you know, that everybody in that building has a similar story.
Mm-hmm.
And it really could, I recorded these records. We're going on 28 years this coming March. The first time I played the opening notes to Christmas Eve Sarajevo, And my oldest son was, he was a baby back then. He must have been like 7, 8 years old. And now I go out, we tour, and we're doing some of these songs, and like the character of the father is praying to the heavens for the safe return of his runaway daughter. I kind of, on occasion, I'll get a lump in my throat because now my baby boy who watched me record these records is a sniper in the special forces,
Oh, wow.
deployed somewhere. So it resonates with me as well, and the audience, I think, realizes that we're very honest in our presentation of Paul's story because everybody, again, misses somebody.
So yeah, it's interesting, you as a musician and you being part of the original creative process for this, how the meaning for you over years can morph and change.
Absolutely. The older I get, the more I'm relating to like the older characters of Paul's story. You know, hopefully I don't relate to the bum, the drunk in the bar. I guess there's time for that too. But no, seriously, I recorded it 28 years ago. So no, I'm 60 due to math. I was 32 years old then. Now you fast forward all these years, a little older, a little slower, and a little more in touch with those feelings of longing to hold somebody or missing someone and all that. The older we get, as we know, that becomes more apparent.
So when you do the show, obviously it's what is it, a 6-week tour, 2 shows a day? I mean, are you guys like nonstop? You get breaks at all?
Yeah, usually Mondays are a day off.
Okay.
We'll do like, I don't know, 10 shows in 5 days, 9 shows in 5 days, 6 days, whatever it works out to be. But to be honest with you, I'd rather have that insanity go on than sit around and wait all day. Like if you tell me like we're going to do 2 shows a week, I'm not, no bueno.
Well, yeah, because most rock performers, they're doing that one show that night, then they're done on a bus to the next venue, and then they're waiting all day for sound check, et cetera, et cetera. When do you? I was kind of wondering last time I saw you guys. When do you do a sound check? The first show's at like 3 o'clock. Second show's at 7. Is
1
it
o'clock.
like
1 o'clock. And listen, for me, that's awesome because I wake up, have some coffee, kind of go through emails, figure out what's going on, maybe do a little bit of press, having these conversations. And I'm watching the crew, they roll in at 6 o'clock in the morning after a 400-mile drive, and they will have that show up and ready for a sound check at 1 and a downbeat at 3 o'clock. And we've never missed a downbeat, So they're like the hidden or the secret heroes in this whole thing.
When do you actually start, or when do you guys start preparing for the next tour?
About 11 months ago.
Seriously, wow. And so you're done with one, boom, you take a
They're already working on the 2023 tour for the routing and the availabilities of the buildings and stuff like that, production ideas. Our managers, our department heads, the O'Neill family, it never stops. We've been in rehearsals for a couple months, like sectional rehearsals, like the guitar players get together, the keyboard players, whatever. What's today? Thursday, I think. Mid next week, I'll fly to Omaha, Nebraska. And then, the band and the crew will meet at the Mid-America Center, where we've been rehearsing for a bunch of years. We will run the show 30 times before opening night, because opening night for me is November 16th. I want it to be a perfect first show.
Oh, yeah.
Opening night for you guys, like you said, is early December. Maybe my 10th, 15th show, whatever it is your first show. Both shows will be your first, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want it to be spot on.
So you guys also have...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra has 2 different variations of the band too. There's an East Coast leg and a West Coast.
Yeah, that's what they started calling it years ago. What happened, the long and the short of it, I don't want to get too jammed up on time.
Yeah.
But 99, we did our first tour, and it was 7 cities on the itinerary. Like New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia, whatever. It was like, we had a 24-foot box truck, 2 buses, and a fog machine. Yes, awesome. And sold out. It was like, dude, this is kind of awesome. It's a lot of people. We sold out the Beacon in New York City. Like, we rule. Well, the next year, promoters all over America wanted a show. And my boss, Paul O'Neill, said, well, you got to go from Seattle to Dallas to Boston to Birmingham. This ain't going to work because we got this window.
That's 6 weeks.
That's it, dude. Thanksgiving to what do you call it? To New Year's, and we're done. So he looked at the band. He said, all right, you 3 stay in the 13 colonies. And he looked at me and he goes, you go that way.
Wow.
Like, okay. And we were kind of winging it. It was unprecedented to do that. Just like we did that. So we're covering as much ground as we can. And then one day they said, listen, we're sold out. I'm going to say, I think it was Salt Lake City. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. We had 2 days off in Salt Lake. They're like, yeah, well, there's a lot more people want to see the show. There's no more real estate in this building. Can you do a show at 3 in the afternoon? I'm like, huh? You want me to do like a big rock show at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Salt Lake City, Utah? Okay. Boom, sold out. So all of a sudden, if one show's selling out, we're going to add a second one. Now we just booked the 2 shows. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like, like, oh, it's guaranteed, but, well, here's your opportunity. And for the past, I don't know how many years, it's been double show days most of the time.
Wow. That's fantastic though.
It's, dude, it's grown up. Listen, we've been doing this 23 years of touring.
Mhm.
27 or so years, almost 28 years, like I said, of recording. And the trajectory is like watching one of our children grow up. Here's an infant, in 1995, when I recorded that first one. I was like, oh my God, protect it, make sure it doesn't get boogers, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then, toddler and adolescent and young adult. And like all of a sudden, here we are. So it wasn't an overnight thing. This is, decades of growth. And again, thanks to people like yourself, your community, who just like heard this and just said, no, I love this thing. This is gonna be awesome.
Well, it's now become a tradition.
For me, for you,
Yeah.
the audience, everybody in the organization, for my wife, for my children. To have it called a tradition is something I never saw on the radar.
Oh wow.
It's pretty heavy,
Yeah.
like when people tell me, it's not the holidays till you guys roll through town, or we play your music from Thanksgiving to New Year's. I mean, people have embraced us and brought us into their home and celebrated their family, or celebrating with their families as us as the soundtrack. That's an incredibly wonderful compliment and a huge responsibility, because we don't take that for granted. We try to earn that every year.
Well, it's interesting. It's become, and you mentioned Alice earlier. It's become more of a tradition now because on the night before December 3rd, I'm going to Christmas Pudding, and then to your show the very next day. So it's
Pretty good
become this.
weekend,
And for the last couple of years, it seems like they fell on the same weekend. Do you ever actually? I with COVID, obviously things, but when stuff like that happens, do you ever hook up with your old cohort there, Alice?
I ran into him up in Canada a bunch of years ago. We were touring in the spring tour, and I think he was playing the following night. And I'm buddies with Tommy Hendrickson, who's been with Alice forever. Tommy and I grew up together on Long Island, and I saw him in the lobby of the hotel. I'm like, dude, And then right behind him comes the boss, and Alice looked at me and he gave me a big old hug, and he looked at me straight in the eye like he does. He goes, "Aren't you glad I fired you?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, look at you now.
Well, listen, God bless him, continued success. He was like my first real rodeo. I learned so much from the man.
Mhm.
Listen, brother, I'm going to get jammed up here. I got to bounce.
Well, thank you, Al. I appreciate it. Again, don't forget Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Footprint Center in Phoenix, Sunday, December 4th. 2 shows, 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Details, of course, as always, get your tickets, klpx.com. Thanks a lot, Al.
See you in about a month and a half.
We'll see you then. Thank you.
I'm love to the family, brother. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.